Hey everybody, well the 328 D-Wagon is up for its next oil change, and you know how much I love tools that make my life easier. And for oil changes, that's going to be the AGA Tools Clean Oil Drain Plug along with their Clean Oil Drain Plug tool, which this end screws into the plug and then the oil drains through here, and this goes into whatever catch receptacle that you want to use. Now that said, I also have this topside pump here. So wouldn't it be great if I could cut out a bucket or whatever catch receptacle I use and drain that or pump the oil directly into this guy here? In fact, AGA actually makes a product like that. They make a battery operated pump that hooks up to their clean oil drain plug and sucks all the oil out into whatever receptacle you want. But that's kind of hard to justify for a DIYer like me. It's pretty expensive. However, these things, they can be had much more affordably. So since this tool is basically, the specialized plug along with some tubing, I think we can make this work. So what I've done is I have got a coupler, some barbs, and tubing. Let's see if we can make this work. Okay, so let's take a look at what I've got here and how this is all going to go together. Well, first, we have the oil drain tool itself, the manual version. And this tube, you can just use a 3/8 barb to stick inside. And then I went to my local Home Depot house of where doers get things done and got some 3/8 inner diameter, 1/2 inch outer diameter tubing to plug in on that other side. And from there, I got this other coupler. This one's a push lock connector, John Guest brand. And this is a 3/8 to 1/4. And that 3/8 side will take the other part of the tubing. And then, why did I get 1/4? Well, because the tubing that goes to my topside pump is the 1/4 size. So that will plug in on that side just like so. So now I've got, this continuous long piece of tubing, hose, whatever, that can now couple directly to the attachments on my topside pump, and I should be able to suck the oil out. So let's see if it works. And now let's suck it into the topside pump. All right. Looks like it's working. Wow, so that worked incredibly fast. Normally I let the oil drain and I go do other things, like I was going to fill up my def in this case, but this thing sucked out all of the oil from the engine ridiculously quickly. And I think it probably took me more time to assemble the hoses together and couple it to the engine than it did for all the oil to drain. So pretty impressive. So hooking up my topside pump to the AGA drain plug tool ended up working faster than I expected it to, and I also discovered that I can improve things a little bit more. One of the things that I ran into, or the little issues, was that the tubing on the drain tool was kind of binding up as I was trying to screw it onto the drain plug itself. So I kept wanting to unscrew itself. And of course, when you've got that long of a piece of tubing, well, it's bound to have a lot of tension on it. So from my computer water cooling days, I just happened to have some 3/8 barbs lying around, and then I bought a quick little swivel fitting. This one's from XSPC. and made myself a little swivel fitting here. So now I can screw this onto the drain plug itself, not have that tube fight me or bind up against it, and it should be easier to use. Like, sure, it does kind of make the tool a little bit more expensive, but in the grand scheme of things, whatever. The better usability is well worth it to me for, you know, 10 bucks. Now, if you look at AGA's site, you will notice they do have a topside pump kit, and at 200 bucks, it seems like it's actually a pretty good deal, right? Because you think this thing's roughly 50 and you spend $150 on a quality, you know, 8-liter-ish topside pump. But it's a little misleading, because at the end of the hose going to that topside pump, it doesn't have this connector at the end of it, meaning it doesn't just screw onto the drain plug itself. It actually has a collar lock quick connect that goes to their much more expensive $300-something ish, meant for commercial users, drain plug tool that screws on instead. So if you're like me and you have this, that doesn't help you at all. You still have to buy that way more expensive, you know, drain plug tool. So suggestion to AGA, make a version of that topside pump that comes with this adapter at the end of the hose, so you can just screw it right onto the drain plug, and you don't have to spend, you know, all that extra money as a DIYer. Definitely doesn't make sense to get the more expensive screw-on plug tool. So at the end of the day, this was a very successful experiment hooking up a topside pump to the AGA drain tool, and I hope, you know, it gives you guys some ideas and makes your DIYing easier as well. For me, this works perfectly with the 328D, but I realized that my Schwab topside pump only has a 6-liter capacity, meaning for the M2 back there, which has more than 6 liters of oil, I'm either going to have to cut it off midway through, drain the tank into something, and then continue pumping it out, or I might just have to look for a larger capacity topside pump. So maybe it's time to start shopping for one of those.